What is up, y'all? It's Tony. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to y'all about how to generate leads. This can be for wholesaling, this can be for buy and hold, this can be for fix and flips, really any sort of investing strategy you want to use for real estate. And we'll go ahead and jump right in. My favorite way to generate leads is direct to seller. This is off-market deals. This is where you reach out directly to the seller, whether it's through a phone call, through a text message or a text message blast, through direct mail. With direct mail, you can do postcards or you can do letters where you just write to the seller. So how you get off-market leads is something called driving for dollars, where you just hop in your car, drive around your neighborhood or whatever neighborhood you want to live in or buy a house in, and you start writing down properties that are distressed. So properties that they have, like I said last video, tall grass, window AC units, mold on the building, roof looks bad, just overall, paint peeling, or just overall the property just looks bad and looks like it could use some help, looks distressed. So you want to take note of those properties and write the addresses down, and then get a good list going, and then go home and look up whatever county that property's in and look up the tax records. And then when you get the tax records, it'll tell you who the owner is, and it'll tell you the address that they live at. And so you want to write them a letter and basically say that you want to buy their property. Say, hey, my name's Tony, I'm a real estate investor here in DFW, would love to buy your property at blank address. Would you be interested in an all cash offer? I will accept your property as is. Please give me a call at blah, 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 or send me an email at blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of what you say. And so that's just, the most basic, I guess, outreach method, which is just direct letter, write them a little note, and you can kind of scale up from that. That's just how I would get started if I were you, because you'll start having some inbound leads. You'll have people start calling you, and you can, once you get on the phone, you start to negotiate, kind of figure out what their motivation is, what their price is, their timeline, and what the condition of the property is. And that's when you have a good lead. So basically, that's when you start qualifying the lead to see if it's something that you can potentially sell or wholesale. So yeah, that's kind of the way to do it, depending on what your strategy is. Now, there's different types of property that I like to focus on. So if I'm wholesaling, I go for a single family, 3x2, 3-bed, 2-bath. That's just what my cash buyer likes to use. And another thing, it's not necessarily the most important thing, but I would make sure to have a cash buyer and know what their buying criteria is when you're looking for these properties, because it'll save you a lot of money and it'll save you a lot of time driving around, because there might be an area that they just won't invest in, or there might be a certain property type that they just don't want to buy in. So definitely be networking and try to find a cash buyer before you start these steps. But yeah, so that's sort of how you generate some direct to seller leads. Now there's other ways. So that's direct mail. Now to do text message and phone call, you have to skip trace those people. Usually that's through getting a list. You can pay some money, get a list from one of those list builder services, or if you use Deal Machine, they have a list builder, so you can pull that list and just skip trace all those. Usually it's 15 cents or so to pull a number per lead, so it's not terrible. And then you want to either send out a text blast, or where you just text each one, basically ask if they want to sell. And then there's phone calls, which is where you basically do the same thing, but you get them on the phone. I would say the best way is definitely cold calls. It's definitely a numbers game. You have to reach out to a lot of people, and the people might not be as eager to answer the phone and might not be as excited to talk to you as you think, but that's probably the most effective way. But everybody has their own favorite strategy. It really just depends on what type of person you are and what your personality is. But that's some of the direct to seller ways. There's also ways that you can get leads through other wholesalers. If you partner with them, you can potentially get into a joint venture And basically joint venture is just where you split 50-50. So some people like to wholesale where there's an acquisition wholesaler who's the one that goes out and gets the leads and is really good at generating leads. And there's the disposition wholesaler who's the one that has a good relationship with cash buyers and is able to get the property sold quickly. So really good partnerships is usually there's one acquisition wholesaler and one disposition wholesaler, and they go and split the profits. I think that's the best strategy because it just, I mean, you can focus on your strengths and, just live in that, and then you can scale pretty quickly versus being the person that's generating the leads and trying to sell them. It's a little bit tougher, but you can definitely do it. I'm not trying to discourage y'all. But yeah, you can work with other wholesalers that can get you some leads. And then another way is if you network with some agents, there's some, unicorn agents that do work with wholesalers and will work with you. It's a little bit tougher with agents. I'm a little cynical on agents personally. Apologies if any of y'all are agents, but there's just not too many agents that are super nice to wholesalers. They don't, which I understand too. I mean, wholesalers, they don't think of them as actual cash buyers. So, but it's just because there's such a low entry into wholesaling that there's a lot of people that are just not great at it. So they, and a lot of wholesalers reach out to real estate agents, and there's a lot of people trying to buy cash distressed properties. So personally, I'm a huge fan of direct to seller, and I think that should be where you start. Just get used to it. But if you can try the other ways as well. It teach their own. A last strategy. This is really how I found my first deal, is going onto Zillow and going to the for sale by owner, and basically just calling all those leads and trying to negotiate them down, because you have their number, so you just call them. It's another kind of direct to seller method, but that's mostly the ways to generate leads. But if y'all have any questions, or if y'all have any additional strategies, please leave them in the comments below. It would definitely help out a ton. So anyways, that's today's video. I'll talk to y'all next week. See ya.